Tonight, we're going to piece together the evidence in a high-profile disappearance that has truly captivated the nation. What happened to Nancy Guthrie? Let's break down everything investigators know so far. You know, at the very heart of this whole thing is a really simple, desperate plea from a family. Our mom is our heart and our home. These are the words of Nancy Guthrie's children, and honestly, it's where this entire story has to begin. Now, this might look like a straightforward missing person case on the surface, but the details are anything but. We've got a beloved mother, a timeline filled with digital ghosts, and a whole series of events that investigators are still struggling to explain. So, let's dive right in. By walking through the evidence, piece by piece, we can start to build a clearer picture of what happened to Nancy Guthrie and what kind of clues her abductors may have accidentally left behind. Okay, first let's talk about the person at the center of this case, Nancy Guthrie. She's 84 years old, a beloved mother and grandmother. And this is critical. She also has fragile health and actually relies on daily medication. And that right there, that was the last time any of her loved ones saw her. It was a completely normal Saturday night, dinner, some games, and it ended with Nancy being brought back to her house. That simple act set in motion a timeline that investigators have been painstakingly reconstructing ever since. But that totally normal evening, it turned into a complete mystery really fast. And to understand how, we have to look at the timeline. The key to this entire case just might be hidden within a few critical hours in the dead of night. This right here is the absolute crucial window of time. The hours between that Saturday night and Sunday afternoon aren't empty. They're actually filled with a series of really strange digital events that paint a very disturbing picture. Okay, so look at this timeline. What's so wild is how it maps out this incredibly precise sequence of events. At 9:50 p.m., she's presumably safe, locked inside her home. But just 4 hours later, at 1:47 a.m., her doorbell camera is disabled. Then you get an alert about a person being detected, and right after that, her pacemaker app disconnects. It's like a cascade of technological failures that just screams something went terribly, terribly wrong. And it's not just the timeline. Back at the scene, investigators found both physical and digital clues, and each one, honestly, just adds another complicated layer to this whole puzzle. So the very first critical piece of physical evidence was found right at the entryway to her home. Investigators found just a single drop of blood on the walkway, and DNA confirmed it was Nancy's. Now, this tiny detail is huge, because no blood was found inside the house. It suggests the entire confrontation, maybe the abduction itself, happened right there on her doorstep. Right, so this is super important to understand. That alert at 2:28 a.m., it doesn't mean her heart stopped or anything like that. It's just a Bluetooth signal. It means she and the pacemaker inside her were physically carried more than 20 or 30 feet away from her phone, which was left behind in the house. Plain and simple, she was being moved. And then you've got the cameras, which is just bizarre. The perpetrator didn't just smash the doorbell camera. They carefully removed it from its base. And even though other cameras inside weren't destroyed, investigators say they haven't been able to get any video. This suggests the abductor knew exactly what they were doing, that they might have had intimate knowledge of the home's security setup. And just when you think this case can't get any weirder, it takes another bizarre turn. Multiple news outlets, including TMZ, received a really detailed and sophisticated ransom note. I mean, this was not your average ransom note. It was sent using advanced methods to hide where it came from, it demanded payment in cryptocurrency, and it even included specific details about Nancy's belongings, like her Apple Watch, to try and prove it was legit. The level of sophistication here is just off the charts. It points to someone who's not only tech-savvy, but also incredibly patient and meticulous. Okay, so this is really important to get straight. There are two different notes we're talking about here. The complex one sent to the media is still being investigated by the FBI. But a second, totally separate ransom demand sent directly to the family has already been proven to be a cruel hoax. And thankfully, authorities have already made an arrest in that one. But you know, despite all this careful planning and tech-savvy moves, the sheriff is staying confident. As he put it, every criminal makes mistakes, and he's sure they'll be found. So, with all these digital clues and criminal profiling going on, it's easy to forget the emotional heart of this story, which of course remains with Nancy's children and their desperate public plea for her to come home. In a really gut-wrenching video, Savannah Guthrie and her siblings spoke directly to their mother, telling her to stay strong, and then they spoke directly to her captors. And this was a really clear, really calculated message. They were telling the abductors that before any negotiation could even think about starting, they needed undeniable proof that Nancy is alive, proof that can't be faked with AI or some other deepfake technology. So, to try and shake loose some new leads, the FBI is now offering a pretty substantial reward, $50,000, for any information that brings Nancy home safely or leads to an arrest. So here's where we stand right now. After all this searching, the biggest questions are still just hanging there. Is that media ransom note for real? Who is the suspect? And what on earth was the motive? We just don't have the answers yet. And that, of course, leaves us with the biggest, most chilling puzzle of all, one that's gotta be haunting both the family and investigators. Was this a tragic, random crime? Or was an 84-year-old woman with fragile health targeted for one specific reason? The fame and fortune of her daughter? That question, for now, is the dark, unanswered heart of this whole mystery.